Hey guys, this is Trader Genius and I'm Rob. Today we're talking about hope. It's an emotion that comes into play, it rears its ugly head in our trading and investing processes, just like fear and greed. It has a little bit of a different effect and it pops up at different times during your trading or investing, but it's related closely. So let's start out by defining hope today, and then let's get down to a tactical level. We'll take a look at a chart of a trade that I did where hope did creep in. We'll talk about how to stop it when it does and recognize those symptoms first, become aware that it's getting in there. And then finally, let's talk about it at the strategic level, and how hope helps or doesn't help your ability to trade effectively and your maturity as an investor or trader, really that path towards excellence in trading, and letting it be a consistent business that can pay you over time. So let's start at the top. Hope. What is it? It's something we hear a lot about. It is something that it's a feeling and emotion that is central to human beings. In fact, it's been around as long as human beings have been around. And usually it's tied to a situation where you don't have any control over the outcome. So, for instance, I don't need to hope that it's going to be 75 degrees in here when I've got a thermostat. I can just set it, and it's not really a hope scenario. Trading, where there's always uncertainty, there's always risk of a negative outcome, it can really, really easily trigger that loop upstairs between your ears of, man, I hope this one works out and I get paid for making this trade. Hope is a source of inspiration for many. The downtrodden, imprisoned. I know in a combat environment, hope really, really helped me, or at least it made me more comfortable thinking that there was hope that me and my friends, my teammates, would make it through this mission alive and accomplish the mission successfully, and move forward onto the next one. So hope has a place in some parts of life, society. Politicians run on messages of hope. You can cross your fingers and hope that your favorite team is going to win the next game that they play, and we can have a debate about whether or not that's effective. But hope is that desire, that wish for a positive outcome, for a beneficial outcome for us or some other party that we're concerned for, like family or friends. But really, it's an emotional response to a situation that you can't control. And we have that so much. Think about relationships. When was the last time your partner did something that bugged you and rubbed you the wrong way, and you couldn't do anything about it because they're deliberately choosing to execute that action or say those things. You can't control it, so there's a lot of times frustration. Well, frustration and hope are bred from something deeper. There's a causal connection. If you trace it back, that's expectations that are out of alignment with reality. So in a realistic situation, I can't control the outcome 100% of the trades that I'm going to execute. And I'm primarily an options day trader. So these trades are happening pretty quickly and the turns can happen. Hope can really come into play really fast because of that uncertainty. And I'm wishing for a desired outcome. Of course, every one of us traders or investors wants to have positive gains and outcomes going forward, the results to be there. But if you dial it back, it starts with the expectations. So as a systematic trader, I can expect reasonably that if I've tested my rules tens of thousands of times in a simulated environment and the live market, that it's likely that if I follow that set of rules going forward, that I'm going to have the same consistent outcomes. There's going to be some tweaks that you need to make along the way, some course corrections, of course, but you've got the core of a trading plan that works if you've tested it and you've provided yourself that evidence. And therefore, you don't need to hope. I don't need to hope in my trading. I know what's most likely. At first, I know all the possibilities that could happen, and then I know what's most probable based off of how I entered and then how I exited my positions. So hope and trading, they're kind of mixed like oil and water. It's not really that helpful, and I've got an example trade here to show you. This is a Facebook call trade that I made, and for the uninitiated out there, calls are the option that you trade when the underlying, like Facebook stock, is going up and gaining share price, I can trade a call and it'll increase in value the more Facebook stock it gains value. So if the share price goes up, that options price is going to go up even more in that same amount of time. Ceteris paribus, of course, there's a more pricing action to options, but it's not a video about options, it's a video about hope. So you see this little purple marker here. I marked that because I was in and out of this Facebook call trade within that same candle, within that same minute. And I entered with the expectation that, okay, it's going to continue to go up. All of my rules that I've practiced indicated that to me, and that's the evidence that I had, the justification for entering that trade. If I'm hoping for more, and this is very closely tied to greed, then maybe I don't exit at the top of this candle as we're approaching $279 per share. Maybe I'm hoping that it's going to be my lucky day and that this is going to be a home run instead of a single or a double, which I took, it's 8.5%, clean double right there. Maybe I'm hoping it's going to be a home run. So I take my hand off that mouse and I don't exit after 13 seconds. I wait for more. Well, what happens in this case is, with the benefit of hindsight, we could see that hope would not have played out. There are other times it may have. Perhaps the worst thing on a tactical level that can happen is when you hope and you trade based on hope or greed or fear, is that you get paid for it. Because then your reward system gets all skewed up top and you start to think, oh, okay, well, I can just hope harder and I can just feel stronger and try to control the outcome with my emotions. But in reality, Facebook buyers and sellers don't give a damn about my trade, about what I want the outcome to be. They're going to follow their own agenda because that's what happens in the stock market. It's a dog-eat-dog world. So hope in that case wouldn't have played out. And also, hope as a really nasty habit of creeping in when things don't go right, when things don't go the way that you expected them to. So let's just say instead of, maybe I missed this entry opportunity right here when Facebook was breaking out of that previous top. And maybe I see, okay, well, it went sideways for a couple minutes and now we've got some more green showing up, plus some volume coming in at 9:45. So if that's my entry point, and I get in here as it's touching 279, and then in the next minute I've got this big red candle here, well, my call is probably at an 8, 10, 12% loss at that point. It happens pretty fast. So this is the other time, the inopportune time when hope rears its ugly head, when we're sitting on a loss and we don't want to be sitting on a loss. If you're holding a position that is currently registered as a loss, and you're hoping it's going to turn around, you've already given up control. Newsflash, you don't have control to begin with, but you've given up control of your own executive functions. You're no longer making rational decisions. That strong emotion has now knocked you out of this cognitive human brain where your intelligence lies and sound decision making resides. And now you're back in the dog or the frog brain and you're just running on instinct, on impulse, and you're jumpy. You're hoping for a good outcome. You're hoping some buyers come in here on Facebook and bail you out. Well, on this tactical level, obviously, hope is not helpful. But what gave us, myself included, I'm not immune to it. I feel hope. I felt it on this trade. I hoped for more, but I followed my rules and exited. But how does that hope, why does it get into our brain? Well, obviously a lot of different ways, but the mindset that involves hope is probably one that's informed and programmed by previous experiences. Like I said, my combat experience, maybe you've had very hopeful situations come up throughout your life and past lives before you started trading or investing, and it was a beneficial thing. I know that it's a never-ending spiral once you let it in. Once hope gets its claws into your trading process, where does it stop? If I hope that, if this is my entry point, and I hope that this red candle is going to be followed up by an even bigger green candle, absent of any evidence, where does it stop? I'm sitting at a 12% loss here. Okay, the next red candle. Now I'm at a 20% loss. when does it stop? You could be holding on to hope all the way until your option expires worthless at its expiry. And I've been there. Early on in my trading days, I traded with an aggressive style and stubbornly held on and hoped that it would come back uh, because it was ego driven. And the ego getting involved derails your trading process. And I know it does for me and for most of us. If you've traded with hope and you've found financial success doing it, you've been rewarded for it, you might have just gotten lucky, and it's only a matter of time until that luck runs out. So get the ego out of your trading. The ego can come in because maybe you've seen a lot of movies, TV shows where there's a happy ending, and the hero of the story ends up, everything's copacetic. They end up being the hero of the tale in the end. They're the last man standing, or woman. There is no Hollywood script for your trading practice, for your journey as a trader, whether you're a beginner or an experienced investor. Hope is and using that device, that Hollywood ending as the goal, the objective, and as the way you want your trades to cap off with a flourish, reach that climax. Well, if you're getting excited with your trading, you're also opening the door to hope, greed, and fear coming in there. There's no Hollywood script. You just need to manage your entries and exits as a professional would. So, looking at hope from that strategic view, there is no wishing that you're going to get better from one day to the next. I had a loss today. I hope tomorrow's better. Well, you're already behind the eight ball. You're already behind, and you're already acknowledging and basically perpetuating the hope is going to be part of your mindset at least for another day, because you just hoped it would get better. Instead, use a trade log. There's feedback mechanisms that professionals in all spheres use to help themselves get better. I've talked about football players and baseball players. They watch film. They study their own habits. Their coaches do too. So a reliable source of feedback, like a mentor. So if you know somebody who's traded and has been burned by hope, talk to them, pick their brains. And the trade log is a non-negotiable part of my process. And every trader in this club and Trader Genius that I know of uses a trade log to great effect, because they know the truth data is going to come out. It's not jaded and kind of twisted by the emotions that can come in. And a lot of traders are guys, so this one's for the guys out there. Ladies, you are not immune to hope, but guys, you may have convinced yourself that hope or any of those softer emotions can't happen to you. Well, here's the news for you. It can, and it will if you let it. But if you increase your awareness and you can start to look out for the warning signs of hope, you can start to condition it out by training the right way and practicing the right action for the situation. So some symptoms of hope popping up. I think it's got to come back, right? So if I'm in that Facebook trade and the red candle pops up, it's got to come back. A lot of that goes back to, hey, I'm in this trade, so therefore it must work out. I've been successful in the past. I've gained in trades in the past, and this one should be no different. So you just tried to control the outcome of the situation in an environment where you just can't do that, unless you've got lots and lots of zeros in your bank account, and you can swing a big line and move Facebook stock at your whim. But that's not most of us. I'm a small retail trader, so I've just got to go with the environment that is there and read the conditions, read the behavior of these stocks and indexes without letting hope come into my mind. Another thing that us guys are susceptible to is the competitive drive. And ladies, of course, you're included in this too, but I'm mostly talking to guys, and as a Marine, a lot of us veterans who trade have to cope with this. It's not a competition. There is no enemy in this. It's not like sports in that there's another team to beat out there. So the competition is not actually the pursuit. That isn't the right drive. Trading is not the right place to let your competitive juices flow, because it can get you into that emotional brain and get you into instinct rather than just calm, cool, and collected, rational, intelligent decisions. So that struggle is not external, it's actually between your ears. So don't externalize the responsibility for getting that circuitry rewired the right way and having a reward system that doesn't involve hope. You executed a good trade when you followed your rules and you followed your process that you've demonstrated to yourself to be effective over time and in any situation, in multiple environments over time. So let that be the competition. Don't blame external sources, and don't try to compete with the next trader over who might be in another state or country, who's trading Facebook, for example. I don't know that person. All I know is my entries and my exits need to be guided and governed by my own practice. So treat it like a practice. Try for excellence, try for mastery of your trading or investing. Instead of hoping, approach it like think of a martial artist out there. Bruce Lee comes to mind. Bruce Lee's not throwing a kick at his mastery level. He's not throwing a kick and just hoping it's going to land. No, he only throws a blow, delivers a blow when it has a high likelihood of landing and being successful. So keep that simple approach, that simple mentality towards your trading or investing. That's how you get to proficiency in the long run, is by building up one solid trade after the next. And when I say solid, I'm not talking about the outcome. That is the trigger when you overemphasize the outcome, the results. That is opening the door to hope or greed or fear. So just do that. Just have the discipline to sit back and wait, realize you're not losing anything if you're not in any stock trades or any cryptos right now, and only strike when there's a high probability that you're going to be successful. Don't trade just to trade, and don't bring hope in, and don't say, it's just hope. It's such a good thing. Well, it's a good thing in other areas of life. It's not such a good thing when it comes to the practicalities of your trading. So approach it as just a challenge to become aware of the telltale signs of hope. That kind of fingers crossed, that antsy mentality and physical response that can come when hope creeps in. Be on the lookout for those and interrupt them as quickly as possible. There's some creative ways you can get that done. You could put signs up. Big stop sign is something that's popular with a lot of traders in this club. I know that. A checklist of your rules, so that you're not in that kind of mind space where you're thinking that it's all luck to begin with, so hope is not a bad thing to have on your side. That is an unhelpful mindset to be in. Instead, go through that checklist. I know a master trader in this club who writes out his rules from scratch by hand every single time before he day trades options. That is his process for reminding himself what he's doing here and how he needs to act and behave within his trading process to be successful and to be that effective, proficient trader that he knows he can be. So that's just a couple of tricks, not tricks, just tips, guidelines that can really, really help make a difference and leave hope at the door. When you enter your trading space, just picture this as a no hope zone, no fear zone, no greed zone. Whatever you need to shape it as, just check your hope at the door. Leave it out there, and when you're in your space and you're at your trading station, just be pragmatic, go about executing your process, make your entries and exits with some simple rules so that you can be consistent. And if you have a strong process that's consistent, you can reasonably expect consistent results. But if you have an inconsistent process that's fueled by flighty things like emotions, like hope, then you can reasonably expect inconsistent results. So let hope be the source of inspiration for everybody who's in a struggle right now. It's trying times throughout the world, but hope, keep it out of your trading, and well, measure it, log it, see what happens after watching this video. Make a note or some kind of mark on your trade log. Everything after I became aware that hope is unhelpful for my trading, well, measure the results after that. See if you gain more consistency once you start looking for and rooting out hope in your trading mindset. Happy trading, guys.